welcome to another episode of the Unblinded Real Raw, where we come together and heart-centered, integrity-based influencers come to distinguish the power of influence. So for all of you that have been here before, welcome back. Sounds like you enjoyed the fun dynamics that happen here. There's fun, there's aspirational, there's Zeus, there's all different types of energies. But more importantly, for you who have never been here, let's give a brief explanation of what's going to happen before we kick it over to Sean. So we're going to be here for about 60 minutes together. And in those 60 minutes, we're going to spend the forward half getting to know each other, building rapport, just like totally demonstrating what it looks like to build rapport with some pretty amazing people. And then we're going to jump into what's known as our influence off, where we're going to have two contestants go from hello to yes in a span of 6 minutes for something that is meaningful for them. And what's demonstrated? What's demonstrated is that influence is a superpower. It's present here, and you can learn it here as well. And to start us off, the man with the plan, Sean Callaghy.
Hey, Fernando, thank you so much. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And thanks to these amazing participants, judges. There is vulnerability at play. There's like, should I say it or not at play on the judges' side? And that's why this is Real Raw. But what makes this particularly interesting today is this is our second version. This is about the 82nd, 83rd Real Raw. We'll get exact numbers again soon. We've lost a little bit of count. But this is the second time where there's actually somebody who's in the seat of what we would normally know as the role player, but now we'll call it as the potential client, right? The sales influencer who is there with like an actual need. And there's people here with a real ability to fill that need. So yes, fun, exciting, integrity-based influences at play. And remembering everybody, this is not about like boiler room. This is about how influence is truly created sustainably, perpetually, with higher vibrational energy, like influencers influencing influencers to merge ecosystems to come together and make the world an even greater place. Like that's the space we're playing in. True integrity-based influence. Yes. With that said, we have wonderfully Deb here in her first day of kicking us off. So Deb, and your amazing stardom for many years a trainer in the Tony Robbins world, and like you're incredible. So what say you? And thanks for being here.
Well, I'm excited because, you know, if you've had any opportunity to watch this program or be part of this program, you know that the people who show up here are incredible. You are going to be so inspired and blown away by the resources that come together to learn and to teach. And so may I go ahead and introduce our guests for today?
Please do.
Excellent. So our sales influencer, someone, God, what an impressive resume, Andrea Adams Miller. She is the CEO of the Red Carpet Connection. She is executive director of the Keep Smiling movement, which is a 501(c), which strives to amplify people who inspire goodness and successful practices and happiness in the world. She left law enforcement. Don't let her fool you. She is tough. Look at her. She's left law enforcement and has spent 30 plus years creating a practice as a relationship expert. She's an international keynote speaker, author, and consultant. Boy, she has consulted with the best of the best. She's been contracted by Les Brown, Jack Canfield, Joe Theismann, Seth Green, Dean Graziosi, and Kevin Harrington, just to name a few. I want to know who the girls are, Andrea. There's a lot of guy power there. Next time I want to see the girls on there. All right.
A little bit of feedback. If you just mute your phones in the back, or Chaz, give us some support if you could, or Matt. But thanks, Andrew. I'm sorry. Thanks, Deb. Please keep going.
Okay, thank you. And so contestant number one, we have Ken Rochon, co-founder of the Keep Smiling movement. And interestingly enough, we know there's a connection between Andrea and Ken because they're involved in a very powerful mission. He is also known as America's most influential business connector. Ken's focus is supporting and promoting great leaders, authors, and speakers. He helps businesses grow using amplification strategies in their own event and product campaigns, achieving over 100,000 clicks and engagements in, in just one campaign.
Actually, in just 1 minute. It was just 1 minute, actually.
In 1 minute? Oh, okay. Now you're really blowing my mind. Okay. He has exceeded am I right? 995 five-star reviews, making him one of the most recommended businesses worldwide.
Wow.
Wow, five-star
Yeah,
reviews.
Andrea, welcome, and Ken, welcome. Remarkable stuff you both are up to in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Incredible.
And I do need to make a correction. I shared the stages with Les and Jack, and Jack's given me a testimonial that was unprovoked, unasked for, and so forth. And I have worked with the gurus who work behind all of those gurus. So I just wanted to make sure people knew that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Even better, having shared the stage with such great influencers and being actually recommended by them is incredible. And our second contestant is a person I'm really excited to meet because his energy is off the charts and his sense of humor borders on, extreme. I love that. Barry. Thank you.
Extreme sports and humor.
He is co-founder of Ambassador of Joy.
I am the ambassador of joy.
Oh, wow. Yes. And in the Keep Smiling movement. So we have a lot of contributors to this movement joining us today. He's a change maker and a life transformer whose profound message of joy is being embraced around the globe. Thank you, Barry, because boy, do we need that right now.
Absolutely.
A successful entrepreneur, Barry was afflicted suddenly with a crippling disease that left him a quadriplegic overnight, but used that experience to better his life and the lives of others around him, regardless of the circumstances. Wow. He is a host of the podcast, The Joy of Living. He helps thousands of people live in joy every day. He is author and of soon to be released Amazon book. When's that coming out, Barry?
August 27th, God willing, in the Creek Don't Rise.
So, and that is called Stress Kills, Joy Heals. Congratulations on that, Barry, and welcome.
Thank you, wonderful Deb.
Barry, thank you for being here. Where are you calling in from today, sir?
Venice Beach, California, Sean.
Awesome, man. And really appreciate being here.
And it's also my pleasure to introduce you to our judges today. What a fun role you're going to have in this episode, having the opportunity to give feedback to such extraordinary people. Judge number one, we have Dan Nicholson, founder of the Nth Degree CPAs. He's completed an exclusive fellowship with the Governmental Accounting Standards Board and has worked in various finance and accounting roles for Fortune 500 companies and enjoys spending time with his wife and two daughters. That's awesome, Dan.
Welcome,
and
Dan.
he doesn't even look like an accountant.
Dan, what is an accountant? What is an accountant? Dan, what is an accountant supposed to look like?
Very serious, staunch, straight face, no smiles allowed.
That's right.
Well, you know why? Because CPA really stands for cleaning, pressing, and alterations.
So Dan, can I ask you this? Where are you calling in from today?
From Seattle.
Oh, very nice. A lot of West Coast lean coming in today. So thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And our second judge is a gentleman by the name of David Buttrose. He is the owner of Buttrose Properties, Buttrose Group, Buttrose Bank of Commerce, David Anthony Incorporated. He is an Austin businessman and civic leader and author of Long-Term Greedy. We have to find out more about that, David. That sounds amazing. His family has been in real estate. Wow, more than 100 years of family business. A lot of that focused on real estate. David and his family are completely real estate oriented business people. David owns a $60 million, and that is $60 million real estate portfolio. That's comprised of $25 million in real estate notes and $35 million in real estate property. I think this guy knows a lot about real estate.
I would
Welcome,
say so.
David.
David, welcome, sir. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for the honor of being on the panel.
Yeah, awesome. How are things doing in Austin in terms of lockdown, openness?
I've been in Florida for the last 10 days, so I just got back last night, so I haven't really noticed a whole lot. It's just me and my buddy in the office right now, so we're coming in, we're social distancing, and we've got the whole building to ourselves, so we're still getting a lot of work done. But all the rest of our employees are at home. We're trying to work remotely from home, and our golf course is still open, luckily. So we still have 15 people out there employed at the golf course, and they're staying quite busy. And it's a good way to social distance. You've got 3 people or 4 people per 10 acres. So we're trying to keep everybody safe and still get exercise and still get a little bit of work done in Austin.
Awesome.
And the golfers couldn't be happier about that, David.
It was our first profitable month in May, and all it took was a global pandemic.
That's all. All right. So thank you, David, and welcome. And last but certainly not least,
we have our third judge, who is Peter Swain. Peter is a digital strategist with over 25 years experience in the online business and transformation field. He's worked with over 1,000 digital projects and companies, for different companies, individuals, and even countries. Peter recently set up something called Hack Mankind. Wow, hack.mankind. To help those afflicted with COVID-19 combat fear, misinformation, and run radical expectations. A digital agency helping select clients translate their mission and vision and step into the online reality. God, Peter, everybody needs you today, don't they?
Yeah, easy for you to say, eh?
Peter, what's up, brother?
How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing well. What say you today on this Mastery Monday?
My allergies have died down, and I'm ready to drop mics on people.
All right, let's start dropping some Peter Swain, Hack Mankind mics. Welcome. We have an incredible group of people. Deb, thank you for getting us going. My name is Sean Callaghy. And if I could just share briefly, who's the dude and why? Do you have any right to say anything? I don't know if I do, but quick background on me is I got into the space of peak performance as an athlete growing up. I was captain of the Columbia University baseball team and a 4-year starter after being a pretty average player in Little League. So then went on to law school, having good board scores, but not great, and graduated the top of my class, having figured out at the end of those 2 experiences that the results we get have a lot less to do with or disconnected substantially from the underlying innate gifts and talents that we have. But second is a lot more than work hard, because I met a lot of people who worked hard in sports. I met a lot of people who worked hard in law school, and they didn't get the results they wanted. So it wasn't just it's genetic, and it wasn't just work hard. It was a lot more. So I get my dream job out of law school, and I realized, you know what? I'm not happy. Most of these people are miserable. And somebody tells me that it's time, freedom, and leverage, like selling. I'm like, selling? That's disgusting and horrible and gross and manipulative. And who in the name of God would want to do that? I'm out. No way. Problem though, I knew I was in the process of going blind. I'm 27, I'm $100,000 of law school debt. People are saying you need relationships and relationship capital. I'm like, dude, I don't even know what that means. I'm the first person in my family, direct family line, to go to college. I have none of that. So I'm just going to go teach high school and coach sports. But somebody said to me, you know what? Why don't you not do this? And gave me a book called Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. I read it and I just started doing what he said to do. 2 things I learned: conquer my fear and model other people. Went on to the work of many other unbelievable folks. And I realized that influence was truly the superpower, and knowing what to do with it to create exponentiality was key. So it was an experiment. I quit my job, started my own law firm, $100K in debt on my credit card, and built a 40-person law firm in 2 years. I didn't build Microsoft, but I haven't heard anybody before or since building a 40-person law firm 2 years out of law school as a sole equity holder. From there, I went on to sell it. I built the fastest training development company out of my coaching school, all the same evolving formula. I sold that, decided I want to be a business owner and operator, built a 100-person law firm in 2 years, which I still own, Callaghy Law. I built it about 12 years ago. Building about 13 years ago. We have 2 top 100 national jury verdicts, have collected close to $500 million for medical providers on behalf of insurance companies. And I knew when my kids got older, and you just saw my daughter Emma, and she's like, Dad, I'm busy, peace out. And she's my youngest. I have 16, 18, 20. So I'm like, you know what, in my spare time, I think I'm going to bring this personal development strategy to the world. I went back into the world of Tony Robbins, became a platinum and a lion. I'll have the privilege of being in his house in 12 days for a 3-day weekend with other lions. And I've been speaking on his stage the last 5 events and building Unblinded. And I was like, you know what? We need to create like an exploratory dynamic of experiential marketing, because most marketing is like dead and overwhelmed. It's like a red ocean everywhere. So we created the Real Raw, and the Real Raw open. So here we are. Thanks, guys. So yes, Peter, was that a lot and too much?
You only just summed up 1% of your genius, Sean.
Well, thanks, brother. So here's what I'm gonna do. And thank you to David Gonzalez, because we have a really fun day today. Because Andrea's like, yeah, I'm like actually interested truly in what Ken and Barry do. That's really cool. So we're gonna go beyond role playing today, and it's fun. And so Ken and Barry, I'm gonna go this way. Barry's from further away. So Barry, I have under the desk either a 1 or a 2. Do you think it's a 1 or a 2, Barry?
1.
It is unfortunately a 2. It is a 2. By the way, I didn't mention I am legally blind. Can't see anything on the screen because I did go blind. So
That's
Ken,
why I spoke up.
yes. Thank you. So thank you.
And Sean, I wanted to give you a little context so that you know. So I'm the executive director of the Keep Smiling movement. So obviously I have a vested interest in where our movement goes. And the 2 gentlemen are both the co-founders, and each one of them has different ideas on how we should expand and grow and retain the people who are interested. And so I don't have any idea what they're going to bring to the table to me today and what direction they'd like me to go with this nonprofit. And so it'll be really fun and exciting to see. So yeah, you're right. We're doing Real Raw today.
Andrea, Ken, and Barry, I cannot express to you the gift that you've given the Real Raw and Unblinded, and the gift that you've given to people watching, because this is what we need to learn, right? Like all about how to unlock these integrity-based powers of influence to get to greater places. So that truly, I mean that from all my heart, that's a gift. So thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Ken and Barry. So Ken, would you like to go first or second?
I don't care either way.
Okay, well, you got to make a call.
I'll go first.
Awesome. Okay, so what is going to happen is just 2 3-minute rounds. It's like an ongoing conversation with Andrea. The first round is like open up listening. You can do whatever you want with it, but we'll be judged in the first round, which you can be like, I don't really care about judging. And that's completely up to you. It's all good. But the first round will be scored upon by the judges, how you open up Andrea's listening, how you put something relevant to the second round where you'll seek a yes, something relevant at stake. So it's opening up listening so you don't sound like Charlie Brown's teacher did, wah, 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 right? So listening is open, congruence is present, and something's at stake. That's round 1 in 3 minutes. Then Andrew's gonna be like, hey, I gotta take a break. We'll finish the second half in just a few minutes. And then the second half, it's gonna be what your credibility is for your ideas and why like they're there. So what somebody might call your USP, which we call your heroic unique identity, for your idea, your service, yourself, all combined, that makes relevant what you're asking for in the ask. So second round is about the validity of getting across why your idea matters and you should be listened to, and the yes. And the yes simply could be for a longer conversation about this to avoid Andrew making a decision, or it could be directly for the decision today. That's completely up to you. So Ken, do you have any questions?
I don't think so.
All right. So you have 3 minutes, and please take us in with Andrea.
Well, I guess the first question is actually, what is the question? Is there a question before I start?
No, from me or from Andrea?
From you.
Just be you, Ken. Tell them
Okay.
who you are and what you do.
Okay.
Come on, lay it on them.
Yeah, so I can guide you on this, Ken. So, when I talked to David Gonzalez, who was talking to me about this, and I volunteered all of us to create this, I know that both you and Barry have different ideas and expectations
Very good.
on growth. So it's all yours. It's what you
Okay,
desire.
so Barry is the person that actually influenced me a lot. I just want to say that he influenced me by handing me a card that I chose to create a movement out of, and we have become co-founders as a result of that. So I want to get that prefix that we are both actually very much rooting for each other to have the influence in the world with that movement. And behind me are legacy pieces, and we choose leaders who lead with their heart, and we want to amplify their goodness. So we have chosen to interview them or allow them to use a TED Talk type of template. And our hypothesis is that people that are at the very top of their game in the world have shown amazing resilience and persistence in order to fight to be the who that they are. And they do it with integrity, they do it with unstoppability, they do it with persistence. And because that who that they create is so valuable to them, they typically align it with a why and a purpose that will have a lot of impact in the world, but what may be missing for them is a marketing plan, a social proof plan, a legacy plan. So we help them to create a marketing asset that shows how they create abundance for the people they come into contact with, how they solve problems for the people that may have problems that are avoidable with that skill set that they bestow. And then lastly, that they inspire people to be leaders. My hope through these books is to inspire people that are missing hope, that are in despair, that have given up in essence, and that when they read about a hero, a leader that has overcome tremendous odds, whether it be that they were sexually molested when they were a kid, or they lived in the ghetto, or whatever their circumstances were, that the reader can align to the fact that if they can do it, I can too. We're at about 112 books. My goal is to automate this nonprofit and to make it not only automated, but scalable, that all the photos that we could choose to be in the books, which are typically 100 influencers per book, allows each book to have a natural 10,000 downloads of the particular author's story. And that story is a very tight TED Talk, like 10-minute read that would be able to be fit in anyone's schedule. And our hope with these books is that there are thousands of them, and that we create a tipping point by being the partner of showing people that they chose to be a power of one, creating other power of one leaders.
Awesome.
Okay, Sean, would it be appropriate to give Ken a little bit of direction on
Please.
how he can move forward, in this format with assisting Andrea to move the organization forward?
Sure. Yeah, so Ken, that was outstanding. And I would say from here, because you had a little bit of time remaining in round one, how would you, what would you normally do to then move forward towards a yes with your vision with Andrea? So, and maybe in round two, coming back with that, perhaps and say, hey, how does that sound to you? How do you feel? So you might be handling her questions, her, lack of clarity, which manifests as objections, and going from there. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Sean.
And Ken, if I just might add, think of Andrea as a client that you need to influence to come on board in a more powerful way to move quicker toward your vision.
Okay.
So think of Andrea as your client.
Yeah, it's one of those 100,000 clicks in a minute.
Okay. Thank you.
By the way, how did you do that? Like, did you share some, whatever you feel comfortable sharing? Like, what's your gene? Obviously, it's ridiculously incredible.
Well,
what if any insight would you like to share?
Well, it was 100,000 in a 24 hours. I was not trying to say a minute. I was joking about that part. I'm not Superman here. But I do viral campaigns for events that have very big influencers on stage.
Wow, amazing. And what would you say is your core influencing piece on that? So
it is a combination of speed, magazine quality photography, and knowing how to link all the different players or influencers to get that content out.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you again for being here. So Barry, how are you?
Sean?
Yes, sir.
I'm doing so well. If you put it in a bottle and sniff it, you'd be happy for a year.
Well, I like that, Barry. Your energy.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Now, how can I make the statement categorically that everybody is watching, and the tens of thousands of people watching on Facebook are all good-looking people? Because by definition, if you have tuned in to Unblinded, you are always looking for and finding the good. That's a good-looking person, always looking for and finding the good. My name is Barry Shore. I have been dubbed the ambassador of joy. And on my podcast, which is called The Joy of Living, we started 16 months ago. I'm happy to say we have over 280,000 people listening every week, more than 1.5 million downloads in 16 months. And the reason people tune in is because they care most in the whole world about themselves, which is great. Because when you tune in to the joy of living, you are going to be healthier, wealthier, and wiser, because we bring some of the most remarkable human beings on the face of the earth to inspire. Andrea's been on, Ken's been on, Sean will be on tomorrow, but
that is crazy.
And Jack Canfield has been on. Okay, all the other people. The important thing right now is that we deal with 3 fundamentals in life on my show and what we do in my life.
Barry, can I interrupt this for once? I apologize.
You may certainly interrupt, Chuck.
This is totally crazy because for everybody to know this, Barry being on today, I'm pretty sure, Barry, this is correct, has nothing to do with me being on.
Absolutely. I had not even an idea until this morning.
Yeah.
Really?
So these
That's
are 2
hysterical.
totally independent events. I knew I had this like great thing coming up tomorrow with this amazing person. And then when I heard you saying it, I'm like, I think that's the guy I'm going to be on the show tomorrow. But I didn't want to say it if it wasn't you.
So
okay, Sean,
get ready,
this is
everybody.
even
We're
funnier.
talking about synchronicity and serendipity. Deb, you'll love this. Serendipity is a shortcut to joy. And the story is that what you're seeing in front of you, for those who can hear me, some of you can see me, but I'll make the story short. 2004, on September 17th, I was standing up in the morning, just like I hope 99.99% of all of you watching, hale and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And that evening, I was in the hospital, paralyzed from my neck down. I became a quadriplegic in a matter of hours. Nothing in my body moved. It was not from an automobile accident, not from a spinal injury, a rare disease called French polio, Guillain-Barré syndrome, doesn't matter. But the important thing is, because of this, I was able to transform my entire being and focus it on one thing only, to be of benefit in the world. We work with 3 fundamentals in my life. Number 1, life has purpose. And when you know that you live a purpose-driven life, you can go mad. And MAD is a great acronym. I love acronyms. MAD stands for make a difference. You hear that, David? Go make a difference. And the third thing is, how do you do that? By unlocking the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple one is smile. What does SMILE stand for? Seeing miracles in life every day. And we're talking about a miracle, Sean. We're together in the same program. Didn't even believe it. Now, my goal for Andrea, you have access. What I'd like you to consider and have you do is to bring about the influence of 2,000 people, each of whom will send out for free via email and our site through the barryshaw.com site and the Keep Smiling part, 5 Keep Smiling and inspirational cards twice a week, on Monday and on Thursday. Send out 5 on Monday, send out 5 on Thursday. And the result of that will be 20,000 cards a week, 1,020,000 cards in the course of a year without costing anybody a penny.
Extraordinary.
Okay. So Sean, am I supposed to have feedback, or is that when the judges talk? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I would say next round. So this has been definitely a little unique for the Real Raw dynamic, which I'm loving it. And Barry's energy is truly incredible. So we will alter perhaps the judges' assessment of round 1. And in round 2, we'll get into, hey, what do you think is the better idea? And Andrew, you could start saying, I have a question. Like you can have a second 3-minute round each with Ken and Barry, and we'll take it from there. I just am like flabbergasted that you're on today and I'm on that tomorrow. Truly. That is
the good Lord knows exactly what he's doing.
So Sean, when I talked to I called David out of the blue because I'm visiting in Texas, working on some things for the Keep Smiling movement, and I'm from Ohio. And when I invited David for a small social distancing party for us to get together for the Keep Smiling movement, he told me about what you guys had going on, and that Chris Vox was supposed to be on, but he has a new baby. And so I said, oh, well, what are you doing? Do you need help? I'm a publicist internationally. I manage 145 people. What are you looking for? You need help? And the next thing we know, I came up with this idea, like, why don't I have my people on? Because it's a Saturday night. How do we have less than 24 hours to pull this show together? And so I didn't even know that it was your show until after like 12 hours into it. So and so this is cracking me up that you're on his show when I didn't even know who you were. I mean, I actually heard of you, but I didn't know the context of all of this. So this is really fun.
Chris and Brandon Voss were supposed to be on today. As you know, as you said, Chris Voss from Never Split the Difference, like the #1 FBI hostage negotiator like ever. So this is like crazy. Okay. So yeah, thank you for that, Andrea. This is like remarkable. So let's go to the judges for fun. And judges, if we give a little bit of feedback on just the quality of the presentation, round one from each, any thoughts on it. And then the second round, we'll go a little bit more deeply into how much Andrea's listening is being open in that second round, how they're handling her questions and or objections. And Andrea, if you could really get down to in that second round, that would be amazing. But Peter, since you have some familiarity with this format, what say you, brother? And by the way, each judge, maybe like 30 seconds of feedback on the first round for each. So about a minute of total feedback. And I'll have a buzzer go off at the 1 minute mark. But Peter, please take us in.
Oh yeah, it's going to be hard to give an out of 10, obviously, for the reasons you said, as it's a slight departure from the normal format.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, first, I want to caveat, it's a beautiful mission. So any critique is offered with love and humility, and helping you sharpen the sword on a slightly rougher edge that I am. Ken, you need to work on, in my opinion, on finessing what the product is. You made it hard for me to understand what it is that you're doing. My hallucination is that you're used to being behind the camera, not in front of the camera. So you're used to coordinating other people versus saying, this is what it is. It's obvious inside that there was a lot there. I love the word legacy plan. I love that. It's absolutely great. And more specific, getting to more specific, ask quicker would be better. Barry, you obviously command stages. You're obviously phenomenal, but you may have a tendency to then preach your solution versus ask your solution. I don't think either of you, and I know it's internal, so it's a bit of a weird dynamic, but I don't think either of you allowed Andrea to connect with what she's trying to do, what she's trying to get to, how she's trying to drive it forward. Both of you went, this is what you should do. And Barry, yours was so specific, this day, this time, this day, this time. You gave Andrea no way to be part of the process and actually involve herself. You literally offered her yes or no. And a human being will resist that kind of approach more often than not.
Awesome. Well,
That'll be mine, Sean.
Thank you, Simon Cowell, Peter Swain. Love you, brother. And your openness and directness as always. Great job. David, what do you have for these fine Ken and Barry? Countdown 60 seconds.
You're on mute, David.
I think you're on mute, David.
And all this bad stuff you said about me, that's all,
Okay.
that we can
Am I
keep all that
muted?
on mute. Yeah, all the stuff you said that was muted, that was bad about me. Now we can just go to the good stuff now.
Well, I think I was going to say Barry seemed a lot more energetic. It seems like his message would probably be heard by a smaller audience, but it would definitely be heard. And it seems like now, when you have 7 billion people out there, that you're really better off having a smaller targeted audience. Would really appreciate the message a lot more. It seemed like he had a lot more energy, but I agree with him. It did seem a little bit preachy. And it's like a lot of information really, really quick. So it almost seems like you're almost overwhelmed with it. And then I would say Ken did a really good job. I like that he's got his, right behind him, it's got his advertising behind him. And he seems like he's got a targeted message, but doesn't seem to have quite the energy that Barry has. So maybe if he had a little more energy and Barry had a little less energy, the message might be conveyed a little better.
Thank you.
Outstanding. And Dan.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on, and enjoyed hearing from both Ken and Barry. In terms of specific feedback, I guess, starting with Ken, I'll echo what David said. I do like the signage behind you. You mentioned about automating and scaling, which, of course, as a finance person, those are trigger words of things that are like music to my ears, but wanted to kind of, I guess, hear a bit more about what that would mean and how that fits to the broader vision and how we get involved. In terms of, I don't think that's my phone. With respect to Barry, I think echoing what other people said, love the passion, energy, all the backstory and framing. I did have sort of a hard time tracking because when we got to the end, it just moved really quickly in terms of the activities per day, per week, and how that sort of extrapolated out to the total So would have liked to kind of maybe have gone through that part a little bit slower and connected it back to the overall mission.
Awesome. Appreciate that very much. And so we didn't really score it up in this first round since it's a little different, but we will score it up in the second round on a scale of 1 to 10, taking all things into account. And this second round, we'll drop in, Andrea, and if you don't mind, it's like, hey, it sounds like you have some decisions to make with these fine folks. So let's drill in and start asking questions and jump in.
May I give some feedback as well?
Oh, of course, please.
So this is a really unique opportunity for me to step up into my power as executive director, because I love both of these men. I love this mission. I've been here ever since the conception of the idea, and so I hear what Ken is asking me for, and he can correct this if it's wrong, but he wants me to automate and systematize the creation of these books. By the way, here's an image of one of the books in case you guys are wondering who are watching, because obviously we have background information that you don't have. So the books have our story of the Keep Smiling movement, the person who's the co-authors. Oh, here I have my book, and another one by Manny Lopez, another co-author's book. So their names are on here. And then inside, they pick out 100 people that they want to honor or represent, or who are their fans or followers or people who are like them. And then the books are used then to inspire hope, create the legacy piece, and create community. So what I hear, Ken, is not only do you want me to automate those, but that you want to make that so that all like 10,000 pictures of the Keep Smiling books are online, so that people are picking their pictures and writing their stories and everything through an online process. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So my feedback there is that's a big process.
It is.
So just the idea of a data entry of 10,000 is like, okay. So then automatically I go to financing. So I'm looking at Dan going, okay, Dan, help me with thinking about how much that would cost and how do we fund that? So monetizing that, and so that we can complete our curriculum with other things, and do the books and find sponsorship. So I love the idea. And then I feel, I hear a little bit of like, create a solution for all of this. For Barry, I love the idea of having people send out cards, whether they're getting them in physical form, and getting I have it upside down. Keep Smiling cards. By the way, we have these currently in 27 languages, and we have them in Braille. So Sean, we can get you a card. And so I hear that you want us to distribute those, and either through people coming and getting them, or through people digitally having them and sending them out or putting them on social media. One of the things I'm hearing as a disconnect is, so the Keep Smiling movement is where us three come together. And at the same time, I know that you fund and take care of the Keep Smiling cards for us as Barry Shore. So I want to be clear that when we're directing people towards what we're doing, are we directing them as the Keep Smiling movement, as a partnership of us all cohesively, or is there now a split and a breakdown? Because I think that can be confusing for people. Do they come to the Keep Smiling movement, or do they come to Barry Shore? And I get that they can come through both and then come to the same point together, but how do we, when we're doing our messaging, create that in such a way that we make the biggest impact? So that's where I'm hearing some concerns.
Yeah. So Andrea, so in this second round, we're going to flip it and have 3 minutes for Barry to answer your questions back and forth. And please, you just interrupt and say, I have a question, like as if you had 3 minutes to make the final decision. Go back and forth as fast as you can. And this session disrupting as much as possible. By the way, I've switched locations. Can you guys see me okay?
I can see you better.
Yes,
you
we
look
see
very
that
handsome
you're up
outside.
in heaven now, Sean. That's very nice.
We are in a slightly different world right now. So,
oh my goodness. He's social distancing on the roof.
On the roof, yes, we were on the roof hanging out.
Very cool.
Little happier, more comfortable. Yeah, it's we got the entire family down, so it's like 10 of us distancing inside the house. So, or not.
Where are you located?
I'm on Long Beach Island, New Jersey, where I was just surfing this morning, beautifully each day. It is one of the most misunderstood places in the world. See dolphins here every day. Sharks not infrequently, but nice kind of nurse, or sand sharks. Incredible place. So let's feel very, very blessed, and it's a place that we spend a lot of time with family. So yes. So we're ready for round 2.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
let's take it in. So Barry's gonna have 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, you'll hear the alarm and know you have 1 minute left. And Andrea, like, really get to work. Let's roll it up and let's get somewhere here. So take it away, Andrea.
All right.
Mark?
So Barry, given the cards, besides the distribution of the cards, what is the end game besides the distribution? What do we want to occur? What's the call to the action, or the impact that's happening besides the delivery?
Excellent. So first of all, thank you very much for being confused. I did it purposely. Dan, thank you for your input, because I'm going to go through the numbers and the process again. David, very good insight, and that's why Ken and I are partners. It's the yin and the yang, the plus and the minus, and the higher energy and a different kind of energy. And that's why we've connected and built so far. So everybody should know there are more than 2 million Keep Smiling cards in the world that have been circulated, all for free thus far in 27 languages. To go to exactly to your point, wonderful Andrea. So there is potentially a disconnect, and we don't want to have that. What we want to do is further the movement. So the reason I mentioned digital is for 3 reasons. Number 1, it's free. F-R-E-E. Peter, I think you'll appreciate that when things are sent digitally, they are essentially free. That's number 1. So Peter can be sending cards throughout the UK and throughout the world and won't cost him a penny, because he'll be happy to do it because he's now inspiring others. That's number 1. Number 2, we can make the faceplay whatever we want. We want to make Keep Smiling movement, enter that way. We can enter through barryshore.com. We can enter through the Facebook groups. We have many multiple avenues that people can come in. And here's where it gets really exciting, because as you know, when people do send out the cards, you can send as many as 5 at one time for free. That not only do the people send out via email, we now capture their email. We capture them. So again, walk through the numbers, wonderful Dan. You have 2,000 people sending out 5 cards on a Monday. So 10,000 cards went out. That's 10,000 email addresses. And then on Thursday, probably another 10,000, and with different email addresses, because everybody has hundreds and hundreds of people that they want to share goodness with. By the way, share stands for spreading happiness and rejuvenating energy. We work with acronyms. So the end game, as you say, wonderful Andrea, is to enable people to share for free, that we now have their emails that we can communicate with them and share with them the goodness, the greatness, and the beauty of spreading joy, happiness, peace, and love. I hope that helps you.
All right. So in hearing that, in hearing that, I hear some opportunities for us to have outreach to people, and I'm glad that you are interested in lead gen.
30 seconds to go.
I am as well. So what my concern would be then is, how do we share the lead generation emails, because that's 2 different than entryways that people are coming in through Barry Shore and through the Keep Smiling movement.
Simple
so then that's
answer,
what
as I said to you, everything is through the movement. There's no ego here. It's all through the movement.
Okay. All right. So that can make that easier, because because we want to be respectful of rules and violations for sending stuff out through email.
Absolutely.
And positivity emails for newsletters and possible sources for people to gain positive, curriculum towards mental health and whatever else that we decide to do.
Correct.
All right. All right. And do you have any particular interest in what you want to do with the emails yourself, like what you want people to receive?
I do, but we're on a time crunch now, so I'll turn it over. You can let Ken speak.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Andrea. So yeah, let's drop in with Ken for 3 minutes starting now. We'll hear a buzzer or 2 for a minute to go. So yeah, take it away, Andrea and Ken.
Okay. Are you asking a question, or are you going
to? I think I kind of already outlined it. Ken, why don't you go ahead and speak, because I think I
Okay, so there's a lot of technological pieces that we're missing to be efficient and to have people be able to go to our site. We have a a design bot. We have virtual, we have augmented reality that when people hover over the books, that the author gets to actually speak to the reader and tell them what they're committed to with regard to them reading their story and it's being inspired. And all of you on this, and everyone that's ever been on Unblinded, if they had a book that was a 10-minute TED Talk that how they created who they were, why they do what they do, and how they actually create impact in the world through abundance, solving problems, inspiring, we would all be able to connect at another higher level. I can't tell you how many times I've connected people by passing the book and say, hey, just take a couple minutes to read this. So if you have an event, and that event has people that are all influencers in the event. When they leave, they do the natural human thing and they all disperse and they have a hard time going back from their normal life into let's stay connected. So these books connect great people and keep them connected. And I choose to go to national, international events because when you leave your house, you hop on a plane and you meet other big influencers, that face-to-face experience is something quite unique. Our goal, Andrea, is to actually fund the movement so that we can afford to send local photographers and videographers to these events, create marketing assets and books that helps build the events that are doing this top 1% type of activity of attracting leaders, inspiring leaders to do great things, and basically creating a marketing plan so that those events thrive. So that would be going a little further into that aspect of it. With regard to the website not being automated, it means that we can't have people go there and actually select or actually get the tools, the videos that allow them to create their own books. And that is probably the second most important thing, is that if we're going to have thousands of books out there that are actually sharing inspiration, and the cards are very needed because the cards are the reflection of the message, but I think the books are the legacy piece, and too many people are leaving this earth not downloading their brain and their heart to the loved ones and to the people that need hope. So I think the story is very combined with the social proof of something as great as, for instance, this podcast. The most exciting book I'm doing right now is the 115th book, and it's the podcaster book, and we're including the top podcasters. And if you were to go to an average person in the world and say, hey, what podcasts do you like? And they go, well, I like podcasts that give me great content or inspire me or motivate me. I go, well, here is a book that's been filtered, and these are all podcasters to include this type of show. And let me share the story of why they're committed to actually giving you a show where you walk away and you say, this is actually giving me hope, or this is giving me inspiration that I can be powerful too. So that, Andrea, is the reason I want to get photographers involved. That's the reason I want to get the website to be automated. And that's the reason I want the book to be a template that people can just fill it out, submit it. And when they do the book, there's also advertising opportunities in the back of the book that help not only fund the books, but also fund the photographers going to events and supporting great events.
Okay, so what I hear through your
Andrea, last 20 seconds.
So what I'm hearing through your description is that through creating this automation, systemization, that we'll be able to reach and leverage that, which will also get that lead gen that will answer some of the questions that I had for Barry. So the great cross promotion there with both of you. And then I'm hearing that you have some opportunities for financial opportunities for advertisement, possibly sponsorship. And then I would like you to address at some point, like who would come in as paid, who are people like maybe we donate and pay for their books for them because they're not at a point where they get like a scholarship from us, and some trade value for things for the movement. So those would be things that would be really important for me to be able to move forward with a systemization for the manpower of implementing all of that.
Great.
Awesome.
And
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'll just say in closing, the books are obviously supporting the card because the card is held by each person in every single photo, but in the back of the book, it is an invitation for people to connect, not just to get the cards, but Barry Shore's curriculum for living with joy is actually a very vital and an extremely important part of what we believe in, obviously, or the movement wouldn't have existed. So it will promote every single person that has a program that is going to help people have less stress and more joy in their life.
Thank you, because that is the main part, guys, is that we're a mental health organization, and so we are in the process of having more curriculum in addition to Barry's assessments for stress and so forth, that actually people can come and have limiting blocks removed, PTSD removed, to get help for depression, et cetera. And so those are in place.
Awesome job, guys. Okay, so before we turn to the judges, and we'll start reverse order this time, and we'll start with Dan in a moment. So remember, on what we're doing here on Blinded Real Raw is talking about influence. So we believe there's 4 steps, 10 indispensable elements, and 4 energies of integrity-based influence. And so what I've had the unique privilege of experiencing are the micro distinctions that create incredible differentials in how messages are received and things occur between human beings. And if you think about it, Oprah, if you were to meet her in an environment with 10 other people that had successful television shows for a much shorter duration, it'd be really hard to tell the difference. In fact, if you lined up those 10 people, Oprah and 9 other hosts of television shows, and you knew nobody, and you talked to them for 5 or 10 minutes, you may have a really difficult time selecting Oprah out of the group based upon physical appearance, mental, IQ, EQ. It'll be extraordinarily different. So what is it that separates people in their messaging? I've had the privilege of working with some of the top jury verdict consultants in the country, disrupting their processes, seeing things that occur that people couldn't believe could occur in how we shift influence. So we could talk about that for days, but I'm pre-framing the comments I'm going to make quickly through that prism. So first, I think that, and the judges noted it, the difference of energetic variance, Barry's and Ken's having the ability to vary our energies. We talk about 4 energies: fun, aspirational, goddess, Zeus, in a certain sequencing and balance, which we don't have time to drop in on right now, creates an incredibly different level of influence. Number one, just energetic variance. As we create rapport, we're in one place. As we move forward and we're teaching, asserting, helping objections crash emotionally, the second place. In addition, if somebody has objections, so let's say Andrea, it's like, hey, Andrea, what's your biggest concern with my plan? A, B, C. Great. Andrea, can you explain the concern about A? Most objections collapse upon their own weight because people haven't thought through them at any depth. When we prepare a plan, we've thought through things at incredible length, and we have the answers, but to speak into the listening of the other person is dependent upon giving us the framework in which they're listening in the first place. So second point. A third very rapid point. Les Brown said, tell them what you're going to tell them, tell you what you told them. Organizing principles around that concept. I'm going to tell you, tell them through story, conclude, right? Those 3 prisms, and then be supporting the collapse of what you believe the objection to be. Like, you might be concerned about this. That's not a problem. Shift energies, right? You might be concerned about this, but that's not a problem because of this, this, and this. Got it? Done. So we're organizing and structuring our communication around collapsing objections and organized structure. A couple quick thoughts I had. Dan, what comments do you have for Ken and Barry?
Yeah, I mean, where my head always goes is trying to figure out which scenario creates asymmetric risk, where the upside is basically disproportionate to the downside. And so there were a couple of kind of.
Can I interrupt? I'm going to interrupt a couple times the judges now. So that's a perfect example. So that's Dan's buying strategy. What we want to be speaking into would be like essentially asking, hey, Dan, what are you looking for in a plan? Oh, I'm looking for, where we can mitigate, we could have asymmetric return and mitigate risk. Oh, I got it. So let me explain to you why my plan has asymmetric return and incredible risk mitigation, ... Right? So we're speaking into the listening. Please go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And so, there are a few missing elements for me to kind of assess on both sides. Mostly cost, both the hard dollar cost, but also the time investment. And basically, what are we going to be trading off? What's the opportunity cost? So based off how we're investing in each of these initiatives, what's going to be the trade-off, given the fact that resources are limited? So what is the cost, time, and then sort of to my concept of hedging and trying to create asymmetric risk, what is a micro step that we could take to validate that our idea has legs to it? Because there's always this danger that we create something, we spend a bunch of time on it, and then we find out that it doesn't have the momentum that we had hoped. So I'd love to hear, would have loved to have heard from both of you kind of what are those initial micro steps we could take to validate the idea that then gives us kind of the momentum to proceed forward.
Awesome, brother. And do you have a score for each? Like if you give overall score for the presentations for Ken and Barry on a scale 1 to 10?
Gotcha. So 1 to 10, I should score them based off
overall persuasiveness for each.
On 1 to 10, I would say that I would give Barry a 6, and I would give Ken a 7.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, sir. David, what do you have, sir?
I would say on round 2, probably like Ken would be an 8.5 and Barry would be a 6. I think Ken's message, I heard his message better. It seemed to be a lot more concise. It seemed to have a plan. It seemed to have, this is how I'm going to get from point A to point B in baby steps. My only concern is that, you're competing with podcasts and master classes and just people who are just so impressive. How do you get their, a consumer's eyeballs away from someone from a master class to this podcast? Even though they're all very successful people in it, relative to the people teaching these master classes, I mean, how do you take someone's eyeball away from a master class for your special podcast?
Can I answer, or is that okay?
Yeah, please, yeah.
We're not actually trying to take it away. We're trying to amplify the goodness. So we're actually utilizing that particular masterclass individual to get them to new tribes or new spaces that we're in to let them know about that person.
Okay.
Cool. So David, any other thoughts?
That was basically it.
All right, awesome, brother. Thank you. Peter.
What was the Simon Cowell reference for?
because you both have the same accent.
I thought it was just a fake Britishness. All right, well, I'm going to stay in that space because everybody else is being really nice. Well, it's the thing is, right, and I'm not going to critique either plan because that's not what we're here for. Both plans have merit, and that's not what it's here for. And I'm sorry to say this, I can't really score above a 5 because, as Sean said in nicer words and Dan said in better words, and I'm just going to say in blunt words, the most important part of the whole conversation came out voluntarily in the last 10 seconds from you, Andrea, saying we are a mental health organization. This is what we do. And Ken and Barry, and I know that you know each other, so it makes it a bit hard to delve into it, never said, Andrea, tell me your concerns with inside this movement. And as I said, Sean said it better, Dan said it nicer. If you'd started with that, as you said, speaking for listening, if you started with that, you could have shaped both of your pitches into her concerns. And you're making the mistake of assuming because you're in the same company that you have the same motivations and specific drivers, which is never, ever the case. So you're selling to the company, not Andrea as a person, which limits your ability to get a grade because you're pitching, presenting your thing,
right,
versus selling Andrea something that she wants to hear.
Super.
Oh, thank you, Peter. So listen, this is what we do.
Can we hear from Deb also?
Yeah, Deb, I'd love to. Deb, what do you got?
I am so delighted that you made that request because, having been a judge on this program a number of times, I'm chomping at the bit here. So I would like to say that for both of you gentlemen, that you have given a very good explanation of why you do what you do. But you haven't really reached out to why that should matter to everyone else on the planet. It is so one-sided in your perspective of your passion, your vision, your mission, but it's very difficult to engage anyone else in your vision if you don't give them some indication of how it benefits them and how their contribution is going to make an even bigger impact and difference in the world. So and by the way, you give way too much information and you skip the most important information. You want bite size. You're both passionate, and it is more evangelistic kind of approach of why we should all be on board with this, instead of going, these are 3 reasons why this makes a difference in the world. Here's at least 3 examples of lives that it's changed.
Mm-hmm.
And here's how you can make a difference by being part of it. And we're going to make it easy for you to help change the world.
Invaluable.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, so Barry, how was your experience studying on the Real Raw?
Excellent. We love input from real human beings. And if I have not been able to communicate sufficiently why this is vital to every being on earth, it's my fault. And that's the reason why I'm listening to all of this input, to make it better, because this is exactly what every human being needs right now. Simple example. The most searched term on the internet outside of COVID and pandemic is the word stress.
Wow.
Stress. Stress kills. Joy heals, which, by the way, those 4 words are the title of my upcoming book. Stress kills. The ability for people to give and receive a simple message called keep smiling or smile. Did I tell you today how much I appreciate you? Or happy by choice? These kinds of messages make a difference in everyone's life. I have decades of working with this. We've saved multiple people from suicides, many families from breaking up, because of the Keep Smiling card and the messages. And wonderful Andrea, I look for things that are simple, fast, easy, and free. And that's what the program that I'm urging you to consider for our movement to do.
And
Simple,
so Barry,
fast, easy, and free.
Barry, can I suggest something that I hope is going to be of value to your whole team?
Please.
Is that you have a place on that card that when someone receives that message, there's a place for them to go and donate to the movement, to donate $1, to donate $2. If you're sending out 20,000 of these a week, 20,000 a week, give people the opportunity to say, you know what, this message impacted me today and I want to pay it forward. So create an opportunity for people to pay it forward and start creating some.
Thank you, Deb. And the simple answer is we do have that. It is on the card.
Okay.
First of all, thank you. It is on the card. And now to go to Dan's point though, testing, let's test with 20 people. Test with 20 people, sending out 5 cards on Monday, 5 cards on Thursday. So that'd be 200 cards every week. And let's test it for 5 weeks, 10 weeks. Let's see what happens. And let's get feedback from the people sending out, and let's get feedback from the people receiving. That's fine. And then we'll build it up.
Love it. Excellent job, Barry. Thank you, brother. Real quick, Ken, how was your experience today?
I loved it. The feedback was definitely on point, and actually the variance of how that feedback was given from intellectual, heartfelt, and just big brother, you need to know what's going to knock you out if you don't have this corrected. I really appreciate that. And really the onus is on the presenter when there's missing and a disconnect of who we're serving. And we certainly are trying to serve people that have mental health or stress or just need hope. And so I really appreciate that. One of the gifts I'd like to give you all, because that experience is best understood what we're doing. If you guys take this gift I'm going to give you and do it yourself, I think Andrea will connect us. But as busy as all of you are, I hope you have a couple hours in your schedule to do a template where we could create a book for you and show the impact these books have, not just in your life, but in the lives that we pass them on to.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Thank you for that, for sure. And Andrea, how was this?
I'm very thankful. the mission means a lot to us. Obviously, we're all very passionate about it. And, we're on a mission to spread a dose of hope. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Those are the 4 neurotransmitters that take place in our brain when we smile. And even if we're not feeling it in our head and we smile, that creates the neurotransmitters to come out. And what those smiles do is it brings community together and helps people stand up. And 264 million people last year were diagnosed with depression. That doesn't include people with fear and anxiety and, fears about other things, distress. And with the COVID situation, now they're saying 54% of people are saying that they feel anxious and upset. And that we don't have the statistics on the depression and the results. Over 950,000, or I forget how many, the numbers are ridiculous, like 123 people a day are committing suicide, and it's ridiculous on a continual basis that these people their lives could be saved. And I do know that these cards save a life because I've actually given a card to someone who admitted to me that night she was going to take her life because she felt unloved and unaccepted. And I told her when I gave her the card, I'm giving you this keep smiling card because we care, that we know that a smile is a universal expression of love and acceptance that crosses all boundaries. And I care about you. And then I gave her a second card, as Barry always suggests that we do. And I said, and this card is for whoever is in your life, because if you're feeling unloved and unhappy, chances are someone else in your life does too. So if you share this with them by either giving it to them or digitally sending a picture, chances are you guys can come together and find a reason to smile or overcome your differences. And and it's just a beautiful thing. And this is what we're out to do, is really give people an opportunity to find peace and happiness and joy.
Awesome. Andrea, thank you for that. Ken and Barry as well. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you,
Deb, beautiful job today. Thank you. Dan, David, Peter, thank you. And from my heart, Andrea, your heart is beautiful. Your heart is there. It is received. It is present for the challenges and issues and dynamics that are facing this world today. I'm really thankful to be on tomorrow with Barry and looking forward to continuing to develop a relationship. Really appreciate you guys.
And I hope Peter smiles.
Listen, when Barry said, like, yeah, we used to be like excited to deal with real human beings, I'm like, Peter is a real human being. So thank you.
Your mission is beautiful, guys. There's no doubt about it. And both of you, obviously, both ideas are actually really quite good. They're just very different approaches to get to the same place. So all the feedback was on the delivery in terms of how to get your point to Andrea, not on your concepts.
Correct. Well said. Beautiful. And I do urge everybody to go to barryshore.com, click on Keep Smiling, and send out some Keep Smiling cards for free. Duh! Do it. Each one of you should do it. Spread happiness and rejuvenating energy. Share.
And you know what, Barry, I'm going to do right now? I'm going to go get filled with some rejuvenating energy. Surfs up via Con Dios. Have a beautiful Mastery Monday. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings.
Keep